use to utilize the property as a self-service storage facility. The property located at 0 Magnolia Drive is zoned GC, General Commercial, and is owned by BKB Properties LLC, parcel number R20900006. This was tabled at the May 8th, 2023 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to remove from the table.
So moved. Second.
All right, I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Ron. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So we have this motion on the table, and first I'd like to bring up Ms. Roberts to discuss the recommendations. I think at the last meeting, Mayor,
Ms.
sorry,
Lewis.
Lewis. I said Roberts, didn't I? I'm so sorry. I looked you right in your eye.
I said you meant.
I'm sorry, Terry.
That's okay.
Ms. Lewis, to come up and discuss planning and zoning, and then we'll talk a little more after that.
Okay, thank you. So I sent a memo to council that just covered some of the issues that came up at the last meeting, and so I was just gonna touch on some of those. It is for a conditional use to build a self-service or self-storage facility on the property. And in 2021, council voted to allow this use by condition in the general commercial zoning district. And a copy of that ordinance was included in your packet. As part of, excuse me, as part of conditional use, it's a use that is permitted, but is required to go through planning and zoning, the planning and zoning board, and then also through city council. It requires a public hearing, which we had at the last meeting, and then a vote by city council. So with that, it allows council to, when they look at it, they can impose or require additional restrictions and standards as may be necessary to protect the health and safety of workers and residents in the community, to protect the value and use of property in the general neighborhood, and to provide continuity and consistency in the character, architectural design, and physical layout of an area. So it is not permitted by right, but it is a use that's allowed by condition, and you can or cannot you can choose to or not add additional conditions if you would like to that parcel. When I did a little bit of research on it, I found that it had been zoned general commercial since at least 1991. And then the applicant did provide a little bit more information, and I know they're here tonight and can speak to it as well. Right now, they're talking about approximately 250 climate-controlled units. And they would plan to do their site planning. If they get approval, they would take about 3 to 6 months to do the site planning approval, which again would come back through Planning and Zoning Board and through City Council, and then probably 12 to 18 months for construction. And I know we talked about trip generation calculations at the last meeting. We included that in the packet again, but I know y'all received a copy of it at your last meeting, just showing that this type of use typically has a very low trip generation rate.
Ms. Lewis, I know there was a self-storage that we approved for Fort Howard Road, that we put some restrictions around some of the things. Do you have any recommendations if we were to approve for some conditions that you think would help to make that a good lot for self-storage?
Sure, and that one had the benefit of being in the Fort Howard overlay district, so it had some restrictions that were imposed just by being in that overlay district, but certainly maybe some additional buffering, particularly adjacent to the residential side, maybe in the front as well. You could also, we talked about doing a specific left in, right out to keep people, I know one of the concerns is people driving through the neighborhood, additional signage, things like that you could do. You could suggest certain hours of operation, although I will say, again, this one has very, typically self-storage places have pretty limited people coming on a regular basis.
And just for clarity, if this were to be used as a permitted use, how much room does council have to you know, some of the things we just discussed, extra buffer, architectural design, landscaping, and things like that, how much does this council have, you know, authority to oversee those types of things?
Not very, if it's a permitted by right use, not very much, because we're bound by what's in the code. So with that, we could suggest it, but we couldn't require it because the code specifies what they have to do for landscaping, specifies when a buffer is or is not required. So you don't have that same flexibility.
So they would just have to meet the bare minimum of, because they.
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions or comments from council at this time? Any other public comments that anyone would like to make concerning this particular item? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis, for doing some background work on that. I understand if it's zoned that way.
State your name and
I'm sorry, my
address,
name is Lori, I'm on Pineland Drive. Good point brought up that you can only enforce what is written in the way it's written. Is that my understanding? So if it's conditional use, the conditions are hard to enforce?
No, if it's a conditional use, you can impose additional conditions.
So my question then is, well, for example, I see on her sheet here that it had said, you know, could not be storage for wholesale or retail activity, freight or distribution, or warehouse as part of commercial or industrial operation, trash, refuse, junk, debris, inoperable vehicles. So if the storage units, what is going to prevent him from being able to rent it out to all of these construction people and their projects, which will require then some of these items to be in the storage unit and increase traffic? We're not talking about the same traffic as just people in apartments that are coming and going from a storage unit. Because the information we're getting is the community is that he fully intends to allow it to be for construction equipment, all of the people at Parker's, electricians, all these people not having to run their stuff back and forth.
Typically, if they're climate controlled, and this is from my experience, the contractor is not gonna pay to store their outside warehouse type pieces in a climate controlled building because they are more expensive to rent out.
Well, it's not the general understanding from the Stop and Store people that were here at the last meeting. It was them that alerted us to bring it up to you that he fully intends to use it for those types of things.
I can't speak to what other people
Right,
say.
so my question is, how is that enforced then? I mean, are you gonna look
Code
and see? But by who? From who?
David with code.
So they're gonna look and see who's renting and what they're renting and what's in the storage
They
units?
did, just like anybody can call in for any ordinance violation they suspect, David will come out and do the site visit to there and do that.
Okay, so now that that's asked and answered, I appreciate that information. The next thing that was kind of important to the neighbors concerning this was that it would appear that a council member approached a business owner and said, hey, if you don't approve this and you guys keep making noise on this, we're just gonna make a worse build. Including and up to.
That's not what was said whatsoever.
And so now we have council members that are approaching business owners in the area, asking them to relay information to neighbors about if this doesn't go in, it's gonna get worse. And my concern is that then I'm not sure how this council member got that information from BKB and what their plans were. And so it feels a little intimidating to the neighbors. If that particular business owner doesn't care, that's up to the business owner. But when it comes back then to the neighbors that, hey, we have a council member that is talking to BKB, friends or not, I don't know, but it sure looks a little intimidating and suspicious.
Sure, I'll be glad to speak to that.
Please do.
Refer to me. I spoke to Mr. Voss and brought him the ordinances, a complete ordinance, because he didn't have the complete ordinance. No, it's public already. Secondly, I spoke to him. I do know Keith. We are not friends per se, but I do know him. And I've been in city council, and I've been, at City Hall and talk with planning and zoning on all the particular things that this may be, should it not go forward. And I brought that to his attention. Because and I'm saying that because it was in a permitted use. So it's not a threat at all.
Did you also express at that time that there was somebody on video, that there's a video out there of people threatening his wife, and that if we don't allow
No,
this to
ma'am.
go through, and that if we don't stop talking about this,
No,
that then
ma'am.
we're gonna end up with an auto shop place with a noise complaint 24/7?
No, ma'am, that's
That
not
never
what I
came
said.
out of your mouth.
I don't know anything about the video. so.
I'm sorry, we need to pull this back in a little bit, and let's focus on, we can't litigate. We can't litigate hearsay, you can't litigate. If you have civil, you have to file that way.
I can
But
do that.
we can't litigate. There's a disagreement with citizens.
We can't, but we can't allow
If it's a
intimidation
threat,
either.
If a threat was, then intimidation, it needs to be taken up civil. We cannot legislate that.
At
And
the
I'm
moment, we're
not-
just
and I'm
asking
not
that
gonna
maybe
ask-
Mr. Ron
and I'm
recuse
not
himself
gonna-
from voting.
And regardless of what, I'm not gonna ask anyone else, even myself, to sit here to try to justify what we legally can't do.
And ma'am, I went on my own record for the citizens up here explaining exactly what could and could not be, because there was a lot of misinformation out there. So I got with Ms. Lewis and had her give me a copy of the ordinance. I took it to Justin, and Justin and I had a conversation, and I explained it to him. And that was it.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you are so welcome.
So I do want to put into record, and I meant to speak to this first, but there was a concern of there being a landfill of some kind or something there, and the environmental company, the outside company, did submit a report today that did, from their assessment, they did not show any signs of any soil contamination. They did show signs of there being dumping of household items and things like that, but they did not see any signs of soil contamination or any evidence of, items being buried with bad, they looked at a lot of different things. So I did want to make sure that I pointed that out and got that put into the record, that there was no signs of harmful contaminants or anything like that, and we do have that on record.
Since you brought up Mr. Kirkland, actually, that was on my paper. May I speak to that?
Absolutely.
So although we may not be able to call it a landfill, one of the residents was able to walk back there with 3 state representatives legally. There are chunks of concrete the size of a dump truck, interior pieces of home, tires, ovens, refrigerators, barrels, debris, pipes, toilets, children's playground equipment, and ancient baby walkers. There is cause for concern.
Sure, but the agency that did the report, and you're welcome to write it, it's open record. You can see the report that they created, and they don't see any signs. They did see signs of it being
Surface contamination.
surface contamination, but no signs of any soil contamination. They did mention the concrete. They also mentioned the appliances, furniture, yard waste. It looked like it was superficial dumping, but
It was
they did
my-
not find any soil contamination.
It was my understanding that that was closed at one time as a pond because it was leaking onto the adjacent residents. So if that is still zoned to be part of where they're allowed to do the wastewater treatment, that's just gonna go right back into that pond, correct? At what point do we as citizens ask for the state to get involved to make them clean it up before using it for such a thing? Since even though it's best practice, we're not requiring them to rezone it appropriately.
That was the start of it, by having them go and take a look. The EPA will, correct me if I'm wrong, Raymond, but when they start to develop that site, when they're planning, they have to submit their plans and all that, so that prior to them starting to build, to EPA to verify whatever they verify. I'm not sure.
I'm actually not privy to what your site that is claimed to be trash, okay? EPD, which is the
EPD.
Georgia version, handles it, okay? But if there is ground contamination, it also involves EPD and EPA, which is the federal version.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what what that report shows, so I have no earthly idea.
And from our perspective, we will require the full phase one environmental site assessment to be a part of any submission that they give to us to certify that. And if there's any issue with it, it does go to EPD and nothing gets issued from our office until there's a full clearance from EPD saying one thing or the other. So that would happen on any project, not just this project.
I want to reinject that, EPA, before, this gives them an opportunity to clean it up. We had the same thing right here at the Zaxby. That's why it took so long. When we went into construction, by them monitoring and having to clear that construction, it went into a manger, it cost them a lot of money, manger cleanup to get it straightened out. This process will be the same exact process.
Meaning it has to be done, just trying to clarify and understand, meaning that it has to be done before bulldozers are in the ground and it's done,
It has
and
to
if
be
it's
done.
not done, then it's off, the project's off?
The issue that is found has to be mitigated prior to.
Mitigated by the expenses is on the owner, the owner of the property. That allows to get it cleaned up if anything there. And my concern is personally, we're concerned about the neighborhood, the community, what goes in. I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting, but my wife took sick. But
sorry.
the thing is, permitted there is gas stations, convenience stores, anything can go in that area.
But the runoff isn't generally allowed on residential that's already been closed as a pond because it
And
floods.
that will be addressed in this as well. That will be addressed in this as well. Any runoff, even the concern of the street condition, if it comes to that fact, will also come back. But at one point, this property is owned by a person, and if it's allowable in any way, we cannot continue to deny it unless we can put stipulation and says the reason we won't do it at this point, because this exists. He can turn around and go back and improve it, and improve and do what we want. In agreement with, and Raymond helped me out, with this conditional use. The conditional use is items that we place on that developer to comply with.
But I'm hearing it's not enforceable, that's my worry.
That's why the agreement that we come up with and the decision we make, these requests will be made from council. Shrubbery setbacks, we need reason why we want it. And then once that's put in place, then if the developers do not agree with it, then it's back to council to do what is best and what they think is best for it. But, the idea of personal vendettas or going after individuals or saying this about that, we can't legislate that. But the fact is, we can
I
focus,
think it's
we
a
need to
perfect
focus
place for
on-
council to say that we think that there was some inappropriate
Yeah,
behavior,
that can
if it's
be
against a
addressed.
council
That can be
member.
addressed.
Sure, you can.
That can be
That's-
addressed
this is
later,
where it's
but that
supposed to
has
be.
addressed
Absolutely.
in a later, when you
It's
file
called
your
ethics
complaint,
complaint.
excuse me, then, you can file an complaint against any member that you want to. But during the process of an applicant, we can't do that. We can't do that,
Understood,
because we know it's above anything that we can control.
understood. I wasn't sure if filing the ethics complaint now would be appropriate since you're voting on it today. That leaves very little time for anyone to investigate or for Mr. Ron to be able to say to me, hey, that's not what happened, I was going as a friend, or you know what, I think I'm gonna recuse myself because I have a personal relationship with somebody from BKB. So if I had filed the ethics complaint, I wouldn't be able to say that here today. Not that I won't, or not that I'm not open to sitting down and speaking with Councilmember Ron about where his motive was in that action. But not bringing it up here isn't appropriate because you're voting on it today, assuming you have enough votes.
And I understand that,
Okay.
but the fact is, the violation may be factual, it may not be. But until after the vote, then that's when the civil is filed.
Understood. I appreciate you letting me speak.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak about something that hasn't already been discussed so far? Yes, ma'am. Just come up and state your name and your address.
I
please.
usually am waiting on everybody. Charlene Reynolds, I live at 208 East Myrtle Street. I'm at the very end. I can see from my yard, I can see the proposed site. And I know most of you have never been to our neighborhood, correct? You don't know what it looks like. You don't know, okay. Well, it's really, it's 3 streets. We have Magnolia, and then we have this connector. I live on that connector, that's Myrtle, and then there's Pineland. We have people who have lived in our neighborhood from a year to 63 years, residents, okay? I've been there in my house approximately 50 years. I'm not going anywhere. But the thing is, if you look at our neighborhood, you'll see that green space will be gone. We have no tree canopy. We have no buffer between us and the highway noise. And the other thing is the railroad. You know, if there were to be a disaster, if they were carrying some hazardous materials and there were supposedly a wreck or something, we would have to evacuate very quickly. Our only exit is Weisenbaker. We have no exit out of our neighborhood except Weisenbaker. Traffic, I was here the first time I was here, I spoke about the traffic problem. It is not going to get better. And I heard somebody say something, there was a quote about something, about this conditional use, as long as it promotes the health, safety, morality, and welfare of the community. It doesn't do that for us. It's very unsafe because we have children who catch the school bus right there on the corner of Myrtle and Magnolia, okay? Right across from where the proposed site will be. The traffic problem is not getting better. It's not getting better in Rincon, anywhere you go, I know. But it's really bad in our neighborhood. And these, for all intents and purposes, the picture that we were shown, there were 2 big buildings, okay? They're supposed to be self-storage. They were 2 big buildings, okay? They look more like warehouses to me. However, having them there with the increased traffic, the green space will be gone. The water situation will be terrible because the elevation of the land, those roads, those streets go right down. And at the end of those streets is sort of a swamp, okay? We can't, and again, we can't get out that way. We have to get out on Weisenbaker. This proposed storage buildings, it'll kill our neighborhood. Our property values would go down. It'll be an eyesore. Nobody wants to look at that. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, hey, I need to get up and go look at those storage buildings over there. Again, the drainage problem. There will be a drainage problem, I know. The traffic problem, it'll only get worse. It's not ever gonna get better. And so maybe we just need to stick with what we have and not put any more stuff in our neighborhood. We're not against progress. Hey, I look around, like I say, I've been here 50 years. And yes, it was nothing when I would come home from work down 21, 1 lane north, 1 lane south, okay? And all you saw were woods on both sides. And when you got into Rincon, we had a grocery store, we had a drugstore, we had numerous churches and gas stations. and we did have a doctor's office, okay? But yeah, I know we've grown, and I know progress is always good, but there comes a point when you have to say enough, enough. We can't handle anymore. And the residents in my neighborhood, we're just very frustrated with this. Again, you know, we already have problems with traffic, okay? We already have problems with the drainage, with the water, okay? This is only going to exacerbate it. It'll be even worse, even worse. So again, it's an eyesore. It'll kill our neighborhood, decrease in property values. It does not promote the health, safety, morality, and welfare of our community. And it does not create any jobs. So it's not progress. It's not progress, and it's not good. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jones.
That's my opinion, okay? And again, I have lived there a long time. I've seen progress. I've seen our city grow. It was a town, okay? Now it's a city, okay? But it was a town when I moved here. And the pavement ran out. It wasn't, but Putnam was not even paved. But you go out and you get on a little paved road to head west. Well, anyway, you get out on that pavement. When you hit the Baptist church, the road ran out right there, and it was all dirt, and it was called Baker Hill Road. And so, yeah, we have mucho subdivisions in there. We have so many subdivisions. We have so many places, so many people that use Weisenbaker. And again, everybody on that north side of Weisenbaker, that is their only exit, is Weisenbaker. Everybody that lives there. So in case of an evacuation, an emergency, we may not be able to get out.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes. Before I move on, I just kind of want to point out what the other young lady was discussing. So as a conditional use, we as council, I just want to make sure we set those conditions for that conditional use. That the owner has to follow those rules, and those rules are enforceable by the code of ordinances and our city, by Mr. Maddox, by our building inspector. Just if currently as it's zoned, there are a lot of different things that the owner can have or that he can place on that property. Some of which I do believe could be a lot worse that we wouldn't have any control of. Like an automotive repair shop or a, motel or a hotel. There are a lot of things that, just one moment, please. There are a lot of things that he could put on there, but he wants to put a self-storage unit on there, but he needs our conditional uses for that self-storage. What we did that because we wanted to give opportunity, and we did this a couple of years back, to give opportunity and to allow us the ability to control what goes in various locations in the general commercial district. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. I'm gonna take two more comments and then we'll move forward from there. And I think this gentleman right here had something.
Good evening, Trent Eichmann, 212 Pineland. Why was this originally even zoned commercial that comes out into a neighborhood? I mean, I guess bad on me when I bought my first house at 213 Pineland, because if I'd have known it was commercial coming out into the neighborhood, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But what sense does that make accessing a residential neighborhood with a commercial property? If you look at all the other storage units, the storage units go out onto feeder roads, connector roads, Fort Howard, Highway 21. What was it?
Willowpeg.
Willowpeg, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Willowpeg, Fort Howard is what they're looking at, Highway 21. This is gonna be coming out into a residential neighborhood. I know I spoke at planning and zoning the other day. When I moved into the neighborhood 10 years ago, there was probably 4 or 5 children. We have probably 12 to 15 right now. and I'm just worried about traffic coming in there. The other thing that, when we were back here in September, when he was trying to go to R8 for multifamily, I think, townhomes, attached townhomes, I guess he didn't want to have a meeting with us then. He said he didn't want to talk to us. None of us would agree to anything that he wanted to, because I know someone at one point had talked about some mediation and talking with the gentleman. The only other question I have is, in your code, section 90-361, it says the development area shall not be visible from the public street and must be fenced and screened per all applicable city ordinances and requirements. What does that exactly mean? So if I don't have to see it from the street, how high is the fence gonna be and what is the screening gonna look like? If it has to come out into a residential neighborhood. And I know the traffic count was way down, or when they had done the traffic count, or whoever did it, third party, whatever. Is that commercial traffic? Or is that a pickup truck or a car coming in? Or is that a box truck or a semi truck coming into the neighborhood? Those roads used to connect in the back, they don't anymore. I don't know how many times I've had my lawn wrecked by trucks backing up into my lawn or backing up on my driveway. When I lived across the street, I had my driveway went all the way through a big roundabout. I don't know how many times I had trucks coming through my driveway because they couldn't turn around and they can't back up. My biggest issue is one of these children in the neighborhood getting run over. That's all I have.
So let me address the first one. I can't speak as to why, I don't think anybody here can speak as to why that was zoned general commercial when it was zoned, because it looks like it was zoned, I think Ms. Lewis said back in 89 or 90, I think you said?
91 is as far back as.
Far back.
From what I can gather, for the leaders at that time, they was trying to create an area for commercial growth, because you need a balance of commercial and residential
I agree with you,
to survive.
but in the neighborhood,
But that area was zoned for that purpose along the whole corridor. And if you notice, if you go back each, because I hear everybody talking about history. That area, I think, was mostly agriculture at one time, because they raised cattle in the next block. And Mr. Freddie J. O'Ron had a syrup, manufactured syrup. So has been a big change, and there's always gonna be a change.
commercial, I
But
understand.
our concern is, what's gonna be the best change, because we cannot tell that taxpayer that he cannot utilize his land. And it's either one thing, gas station, guess what? If he decides to go to one of these other areas tomorrow, guess what? There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do.
I know that.
It don't even have to come back.
I mean, that zoning is
And
just,
so,
it's an odd zoning.
And that's what I went to.
when I thought of this, I thought this would be the less
I agree with you. I do, I agree.
But where do we stop? We can't tell him he can't do anything.
I agree, it's the lesser of the evils, but in your section 90-361, with the fencing and the screen, it is the lesser of the evils. I do not want attached townhomes in there. I do not. I would rather have this, but what do we have to look at as residents of the neighborhood per your code? It will not be, shall not be visible from the public street. That is what, this came off your website, your code. So what does that mean? This is what the city adopted, so what does that mean?
I feel that we can address this project and make it attractive, but there's no guarantee in life at all. But the fact is, we cannot continue to deny items that he wants to put in there and tell him, we can't, this council can't do it. Y'all can raise down all day about it, we don't want this, we don't
I'm
want
not
that,
saying
we don't want
deny
this,
it.
we don't want that.
I want, who's
But
gonna
the
be
thing is-
responsible when a kid, who's gonna be responsible, would you, okay, so let me ask you this. How would you feel if it was your grandson or your grandchild that got run over by a truck that missed a turn and they backed up and hit a kid in the neighborhood? Think about that.
I've had a niece killed, hit by a car, and knocked almost 50-some feet down the road. Yeah, I've been through
And just,
it. You don't have to remind me how.
I don't
would
want it
feel.
in my neighborhood, cause I don't wanna lose another child.
And I didn't want it in my neighborhood.
just
We
a
can say
quick,
no to
touching
inappropriate bills
real quick
over
before
and
you
over and
started.
over.
The reason that I did go see Mr. Voss was outside of looking at guns, like I always do that, is, I wanted to there was so much information and misinformation going on about what's permitted, what's not, what is, and, having a business relationship as far as, with Justin. I spoke to Justin as a friend and as a councilman, letting him know these are the things that are permitted that I will not have a control over, that I could have control over if they are conditional. I can set fence sites, I can set buffers, I can set landscaping, I can set, maybe he can make a right turn out and a left turn in only. Set signage, speed bumps, all these things that have to go from the developer, should he want to develop, to meet those conditions. If it's permitted in here, it is the bare minimum setbacks, chain link fence, whatever it is at that point. So I'm making sure that the best decision is being made, and I'm known as a representative, not a friend of anybody. It's a business owner, he owns that property, he's allowed to develop it. And if it's within these permitted uses as stated, if it's out to be a gas station, automotive repair shop, my hands are tied at that point.
Mr. Ryan, I got a question for you while we're on this. What do we need to do, because on the maps, if you look on Google Maps, it still shows them roads come together. How do we get some signs up there on the roads on both of them? Highland
That needs
Magnolia,
to be addressed,
some dead end.
regardless of whether we do this project or not.
Yes, that I'd love to do.
That is part of the agreement for having the conditional use.
No,
What
I'm
do
just,
you all want in there?
nothing to do with even this project, just because of the traffic,
Just
we get
saying
down there, sir, that,
there's no outlet basically.
there's no
on that
outlet,
road.
you can't drive through.
So let's fix that, hold on just a second.
I just let him know.
Is there a way, is there a sign there now that says no outlet?
Thank you.
Done.
Used to be
Yeah,
signs
they
on
keep-
both
they keep
streets
tearing
that
up my
said
lawn.
dead end.
Can we verify, and if it's not, can we look at, excuse me, ma'am, can you please hold on just 1 second? Let me address that.
Absolutely.
If there is not a sign that says no outlet or dead end, let's go ahead and figure out how we can get some signs there to address that issue. That should help with that piece.
Thank you.
Now,
What about
you're
speed
welcome.
bumps?
Just a moment, ma'am. Let's let him talk, and then we'll move on from there. Yes, sir. Can you state your name and your address?
Good evening.
Good evening.
John Paul Moore with Thomas and Hutton on behalf of BKB Properties. Thank y'all for hearing us again tonight. I won't reiterate or rehash everything that we've went through before, but I will touch on a couple of the points. So permitted uses in general commercial, I'm gonna just name a few. Animal hospital, auto repair, commercial childcare, commercial motel or hotel, a restaurant, gas station, or a laundromat. We could put all these there without any additional buffer, any additional fencing, any additional landscape requirements. That the owner is entitled to do. So I think the council has done a great job trying to get everybody to understand that. But this isn't a proposed developer that's gonna buy this property in development. They own it. So you're not gonna run them away. They already own it. And they're going to develop it with something. So we're here today asking for the conditional use, because we think, as they think as owners, that this is the least impactful to the area. It's the least amount of traffic. It's not bringing, I know people was, whether their opinion one way or the other, they were complaining about crime potentially with the townhomes and what kind of renters that they would possibly get. You won't get that. It's a gated, self-enclosed facility. Proper signage. So absolutely, if we can put some signage on Magnolia at the entrance to notify as best we can that the trucks, hey, this is where you're turning. This is where you have to turn in. You can't go beyond this point. And we can work with the city on the language of the sign so that hopefully the police department can enforce that sign and ticket them. You know, they'll learn.
What about the buffer?
So right now, zone GC, we have a 35-foot setback
For a building,
Correct,
that's a building setback.
correct. Building setbacks 35 feet from Magnolia right away.
How much additional are you willing to give up?
I believe the other Stop and Store had a 10-foot buffer. So I don't see any reason why that would be an issue here. So a fence, it has to be fenced anyway. We're gonna fence it in regardless. So a fence, we can talk about the fence. If there's any specifics that you want to include on that. And then a 10-foot landscape buffer, at minimum. We'll clarify, somebody brought up contractors potentially using this, so this is gonna be, I wanna turn around, but I know I should stay at the mic. This is gonna be a air-conditioned space, air-conditioned self-storage is the intent here. And most of the time, there's a few exterior units, but they're small, they're not gonna be able to park a truck in here, right? They're not parking trucks, they're not gonna be, and then the majority of units are accessed via internal hallways. So you're not hauling 2 by 4s down the hallway every morning to go back and forth to your truck. Now, can we restrict somebody from, I'm not a code official, but I don't think so. But that's not the intent. This is not we're not permitting this as a flex space for somebody to use, to run their business out of. It's for, hey, you sold your house and you're having to rent a smaller place for a little while and then you got your couches in there. I mean, that's what people use self-storage for. We talked about the buffer. We can, again, the entrance layout, we can work through that because we gotta come back. We gotta come back to you and we can discuss, with staff and work out the entrance to make sure we're on the same page and control these trucks. Magnolia isn't that long of a road. It's not like these trucks can get that. Start going very fast anyway, and again, it's limited traffic. Self-storage has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, traffic generation rates for the options here. So if I think we talked about the buffer, I think 10 foot is more than amenable to the owners. Willing to commit to that. Do we need anything else that you would like to present to us?
My initial thought process on it, should it be approved, was going to be a vinyl fencing buffer, basically to cover up the road noise that would be once it gets cleared out. So you would have some kind of noise buffer, at least that one around the perimeter of the building, and at certain height, so it's not to impede on view per se. Although it is in the same general vicinity in a district that's already commercial all the way down to El Real at that point. So it's kind of caught in the middle, in the limbo, if you will. We got a commercial business with the El Real right next to a residential spot. And, same with Dr. Taylor's office, although he has a development on the corner lot, it is still merging with the.
It's clear, there's no buffer, et cetera.
Right. And then we have other property on 21 that is abutting residential property behind it. So it's, one of those invisible lines, if you will.
Is there a reason you don't have the entrance off of Highway 21?
He doesn't own all of that.
He does.
He does.
Look,
Yes, he does.
Let me-
Furthest
let me-
drawing that I'm looking at.
Well, let me touch on, if I
Yes, sir.
may.
Sketches.
So, the plat, if you flip the plat, they own all 3 parcels, A, B, and C on the plat. But parcel A is the stone house. So,
It's a different parcel.
yeah, it's a different parcel. But they purchased that property and they took great pride in restoring that building because I think it was a restaurant previously and it was in disrepair, to be honest. And they put significant investment in it and restored it as best they could to what it was in the beginning. And they take great pride in that. That house has been there for a long time, for those of you who haven't been in Rincon that long, much longer than I've been around. So they took great pride in restoring that. If that was a requirement, that house would be gone. The house would be gone. Simple as that. It won't work.
And I'm just curious if DOT would even approve coming right off of Weisenbaker because the D-cell would have to be there. And not only that, just because a property owner owns a property, happens to be the same one in front of it, you can't force him to change his business model and say you gotta drive through your property just because you happen to own it. I mean, that's just,
They'll take more close, they won't approve that, it's too close.
that's what I thought, the D-cell's too close to it, across.
You don't have enough room there for a D-cell lane.
Correct.
DOT will not
They
approve it.
wouldn't even, they wouldn't think about it.
Thank you so much. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry.
If you have any other questions for me or the applicant or the owner, we're here, open ears to discuss any ideas you may have. But again, they think this is the least impactful to the neighborhood.
Is it possible to potentially to mitigate potential for a left-hand turn out of that facility with a box truck to do a left-in, right out there with an island in the middle, concrete island to, at least try to keep that there along with adequate signage?
We can certainly study it, and at minimum, I don't know how to work from a layout standpoint, making them turn, but we could have a sign directly across the street.
Or retention pond would be too, to alleviate some of the noise that the citizens are complaining about, or possibly, to help with the sound barrier. And
Could we look at a bigger, potentially a bigger buffer on that parcel in lieu of either or? Could you make it that yeah, maybe it's a 20-foot or 30-foot buffer on that parcel, cause I
that
don't,
could work too, that would, yeah, if you could not remove the trees or plant trees that will provide that green space year round, not just oak trees because they drop their leaves in the winter, but something that's more solid like cedars or pines that don't grow 100 foot tall, but they gotta stay low, like 40 feet to block the sound.
Excuse me, we put the sketch up on the
Can we
screen.
see the sketch of this? I have a question about something, and I think since he's up there, it's a good time to ask him. I think a lot of people in here are saying, what are we even talking about? Is the sketch on file?
He's working on trying to get pulled up now.
Okay. Okay. You see the retention pond? Let's talk about that.
Ma'am, can you come up and
Sure.
state your name?
Sure.
Detention pond is part of the rezoning.
Hi, everyone. I wore a watch today, so I don't take up too much of your time. Okay.
Can you state your name and your address?
My name is Nikki Carangelo, and I live at 211 Magnolia. My property would be right on the other side of the stormwater retention pond. The first thing I wanted to bring up is, we're talking about all this development. That's zoned residential. That's not even zoned commercial. We're kind of putting the cart before the horse. We haven't even talked about the fact that this right here is still zoned R4. Is everyone aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
It hasn't been merged. We didn't have a meeting to talk about merging it.
It's not being put up for zoning.
It's being used for a business to drain their stormwater. I mean, so you're gonna let residential property have drainage from 2 warehouses? Shouldn't it be rezoned? Shouldn't we be talking about rezoning it first?
Well, no, first we need to talk about the conditional use, because that's what's on the table right
Okay.
now. And then if this goes through, then we'll talk about what's next and the plan that they're gonna have. That's when we'll get the city attorney involved, if we need to.
Okay.
Because, yes, that is a stormwater, a retention pond, and it is residential.
It's on residential.
However, a self-storage unit, we're talking probably 1 bathroom, but that's something we can discuss later if this
Right.
gets
Okay,
approved.
because we haven't even discussed that. The other concerns I have is on the sketch. This looks like a racetrack around the storage units. I do not see any trees here. Maybe here is the only place I see that you're gonna leave
The
trees.
site plan doesn't require, that's the
Right.
development plan later that will come
Okay.
as part of
So-
condition, part
right.
of conditional use.
So when you do the conditional usage.
If we do conditional use.
If you do conditional, I just don't see how you can have appropriate buffer zones.
If you listen to the gentleman just a minute ago, I asked a question about buffer. There's
Okay.
35 foot there, and then he's adding another 10 at least to the landscape. And this
Do
is
you
the same
think that's enough?
which is the same requirement that we required.
I'm very visual here, because where are you gonna put that additional buffer zone? This is like the fence is going right up to his property line,
The buffer on that going in.
all the way around. This is, if you look at it from Weisenbaker, the fence is going right up to his property line. So this is going to have to be smaller
Facing the
in
residential
order
side,
to
ma'am.
make that fit, won't it?
Facing the residential side on Magnolia was the buffer discussion. Facing your neighborhood.
Okay, but
You don't have to have a buffer.
He's
between
saying
the
no,
commercial
he
zones.
wouldn't have the buffer there on the
you wouldn't have a
Weisenbaker
buffer
side.
there at all.
He's only talking about the buffer on the
If the
residential
other would
side.
abut,
The other side.
existing commercial businesses on that
Okay,
side.
and you're 100% positive, like you don't even wanna try or see if there's any possible way to put the entrance off Highway 21, because life is about compromise. It's not possible at all? You're 100% positive it's not
If
possible?
that gentleman back there that's applying for it decides that that's what he wants to do with his property,
Mhm.
then yes, that's
Because he
when the discussion could be had.
He could extend an olive branch, and I think that would alleviate a lot of the anxiety that we're having
I think what
here.
you're missing a little bit too is we have code requirements for parking spaces and
Okay.
everything over there. To have an entrance on 21, should we be able to grant it, would offset his building, he would lose parking space, he'd be out of compliance. So he can't have a building there anymore, basically.
And you can't make exceptions for him?
Not
To
for
put an
88
easement in?
Not for 88
For an
88
easement?
requirements, no ma'am.
And there's no one else that can give him an easement that's next door? He's not willing to ask them or see if he can put an easement next door or any other way?
He doesn't have to go through this process at all, honestly, he could just go with what's allowed there, and we could skip this whole thing.
Okay.
He can put up a gas station next
He
to it.
could,
if
but
he
we're
wants to.
asking you what
Right,
condition.
but what I'm saying
conditions
is,
is
what I'm
one of-
saying,
I'm sorry, one of the things that I discussed with Justin.
you
when I
interrupted
spoke
me,
to
I'm
him,
sorry, you interrupted me.
Was that we would allow, potentially have a couple representatives as from a committee, from the community to come in and discuss, should this get allowed? Because we don't live next to the property, and I want your input. That's why I went to the man to discuss.
While you were shooting guns, you discussed it. Do
I
you
was
think
not-
that's intimidating?
Well,
I think it's intimidating. It's
Okay.
like I'm watching an episode of West Wing.
Ma'am,
I'm serious, you were shooting guns while you were talking about this.
Please, okay, hey, y'all, please.
I'm just,
Please
it's
stop.
true,
Please stop for just a
but
moment.
it's true.
Please stop for just a second.
Wait, can I say one thing? Just because we have all this confusion, I really feel like, and I'm not trying to be wise, I really feel like the amicable thing to do would be to recuse him. Just because it's awkward, it shouldn't have happened. He's out shooting guns, bang, bang, and then he's having a discussion about our neighborhood, and, I mean, it's just inappropriate. Giving printouts,
Will you
it's
please-
just, it's
will you
inappropriate.
No, stop, pause. I'm gonna let Mr. Scott talk, and then I'm gonna close public comment. Thank you so much, man. Mr. Scott?
I I love this city. And I've been here a long time.
I know you do.
I've been here a long time. And I'm out here riding day and night, watching, trying to figure out where water's going, drains going. When they tried to put those apartments there, townhouses, it blew me. And from day one, some things I will fight and I will go to court on for this city.
Mhm.
When I heard about the proposed storage, I was kind of elated because I knew what could go there and I did not want to see that go there. It's typical
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
it's typical for council to go out and try to encourage the developer to do certain things. I don't know what, I weren't there, I don't know what went on with Mr. Ron.
For
but
what?
it's- With Mr. Ron and the developers, but it's a typical thing for us to go in the curve. There's a
It was just
apartment
inappropriate.
complex.
Yeah, it was just, come on. You wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't.
No,
I know you
I
would
wouldn't
use
do that.
much better judgment.
I wouldn't do that, but.
I'm
we-
sorry, David, but it was poor judgment.
But what I'm trying to get to understand, my concern, I kind of put my feelings like
Yeah.
if I was living in that neighborhood. Knowing that something going there, what would I accept? And what would I set down and try to encourage to enhance it to work? There's some things we can't do, but there's some things we can't do and we can request. And I respect anyone that wants green space, but I can't take somebody else's property and just say, that's gonna be green.
And I'm not saying, I do not like being here. I don't like public speaking. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to say you can't ever build here. That's not what we're getting at. But I do think that we need to extend an olive branch and maybe try to come up with other solutions. And maybe at this point, say we're gonna go into negotiations and possibly, he doesn't have to have 2 buildings. Maybe the buildings could be smaller. We might have to come up with other solutions. And, I also feel somewhat offended that we weren't invited to the zoning and planning meeting. We never had a sign up. I live right there. I wasn't invited. Legally, is that allowed? To just not, so let me tell you something. I'm not clairvoyant. How in the world would I have known in April that you were having a meeting about my property before the sign went up in May? How would I ever know?
Ma'am,
You're telling me I should be going every week to the door at city council and trying to figure out if you're having a meeting about my property? That's just unrealistic.
If you write your email down, I can put you on an agenda list and we'll email you out an agenda for every meeting.
That's wonderful, but the meeting already happened.
yes, ma'am, we'll, if you can pass your email address, we'll make sure that happens, but they have already told you that it has been posted, and that is legally, that is what we are required to do.
But we
And
need
so,
to
ma'am,
rethink that
Okay.
process.
Yes, ma'am. We will
It's
take a note.
wrong.
We will take a note of it, and I'm gonna close the public hearing for this particular item. Thank you so much for your comments, I really appreciate it.
And Patrick, I want to point of personal privilege here.
I think you
Just
should
to get on
recuse
the record,
yourself.
that there was no shooting involved. I was actually visiting Mr. Voss's gun shop.
That's not what I
Did you say
heard.
that?
Not what I was told.
Yes, it is. I don't know how you misunderstood. I was not shooting a gun at my store. There is no place to shoot at my store.
Hey, please. Okay, this is out of order, and we have closed public comment. We are not going to entertain any more public comment. Is there anything else from staff or council that we need to discuss about item 2?
I'd like to make one statement
Yes, sir.
so that we're clear about this. You're actually doing 2 things if you make a motion. One is the approval of a conditional use, which has the force and effect of law, which vests rights in the property owner. That requires an ordinance, okay? The other is setting up conditions. We normally do it in one motion, though, the approval with the conditions. So, our charter requires 4 affirmative votes to pass an ordinance. So everybody's on the same plane.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Vicky. Any other questions or comments from council?
Raymond, since we spent so much time on this particular agenda item, I always call it the agreement. Can we leave it open to suggestion
Well-
in the?
I can answer your question and help you out. Our second reading, between now and our second reading, if it passes, you can move forward with conditions for your next meeting and have those in place.
Because I'd like to have opportunity to
So-
see something else to add in.
Yeah, but I mean, you can put those, you can start them tonight if you want.
Right.
I'd say this, bro. We have been through similar situations, and everybody up here knows. Different developments, residential, commercial. What I don't understand is why we haven't, again, when John Quinn was here, we get planning and zoning together, we've got everybody in the room, we get the property owners, we get that want to develop, we get the residents that have concerns. I mean, we're talking about, we got a lot of variables floating around right now, and a lot of aggravated people. And I don't wanna hold anybody up, but once we make our minds up, and I know this is the first reading, it's on its way. So, again, I would like to see us have staff facilitate, if both the property owner and the residents are willing to get together, and then we have a very good idea, everybody does, about what these conditions are. Because, again, right now, there's a lot of unknowns, and people are upset. And before, in these other situations, we had people that were polarized, that were able to come together because they could look at it and see, hey, this is the plan, and everybody knew what was going on. And again, both sides didn't get everything they wanted, but they came to a compromise. I've heard that said several times, so I would rather see us charge staff with working with the two sides and get it done as quickly as possible, so we know, everybody has an idea of what the conditions are before we vote on it. That's just me. I don't feel comfortable otherwise.
Thank you.
Ms. Lewis and Mr. Lynn, you think you have the ability to carve some time out this week or prior, let me rephrase that, prior to our next meeting, to sit down with the property owners and some of the residents to try and help us make a decision on conditions, for this particular property?
I think that that's definitely something we could look at. I don't know that we would want to give you the recommendations for the conditions, because I don't know, but we can give you kind of the thought process of what people put into place.
Well, what I'd
what we're
like
able to do.
what I'd like to see is as Mr. Brower stated, the homeowners and the owner to sit down and talk about things, and staff to help them with, some conditions that are that the property owner can do, and something that at least compromise, as the young lady was talking about, to be able to come up with something, if the homeowners, as an example, say, well, I'm not gonna compromise and it's gotta go to 21, then it's not gonna do any good, and then we're just gonna move forward. But there has to be some kind of a compromise, right? I'd like to see if we can get a list, or excuse me, a sheet of paper with the homeowners' information on it. And then if you guys can set a meeting with the owner and the residents that put their name on that list, at least we can say, okay, this is what we came up with. We had a meeting, almost the same as we did with the truck ordinance, if you guys will recall. We went back and forth, and we finally, after a lot of meetings, we were able to come up with something that helped.
I would be happy to help with that process.
So what I would like to ask everyone to do, if Ms. Lewis is okay with it, when this item is over, if they can all go out to the lobby and she can gather a list of those people, and we can try to arrange that meeting for next week at some point.
Okay.
And that gives us a week and a half to get all that information compiled into you guys before the meeting on Tuesday. That's true.
That is a very good question. For the developer or slash owners, is that something that you guys think that's something that you can sit down and have some constructive conversation with the homeowners on?
Sure, no problem. As long as the city.
We will
runs
facilitate.
it.
We will facilitate.
Absolutely.
We will facilitate.
Absolutely. Okay,
I probably won't be involved in that as well.
I will. I plan on doing I plan on being there. Whenever.
I will let y'all know when the meeting is, whoever would like to attend. That being said, are you guys going to move to table this and to the June 12th meeting?
We should have it on the next agenda.
Well, if there's any other discussion, I am open for a motion of some kind, of any kind.
Motion to table to the next agenda.
Second.
And then June 12th. So that's June 12th.
June 12th. So there's a motion on the floor, Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Brower to table until the next meeting of June 12th, so that we can have a meeting. Staff is gonna facilitate a meeting.
Can I speak now or no?
Yes, sir.
Discussion, right?
Yes, sir.
So-
Just let me finish that. To table the meeting to June 12th, does that work for the developer? I just wanna make sure that date works, that we can table that to the next meeting of June 12th.
So, question, I thought we were going in the direction of potentially making a motion with some conditions tonight, and then maybe we can fine tune those conditions with the residents, but for the second reading?
Right now, the motion on the floor is to table this one till the June 12th, until we can have that meeting before. And then when we get the information from that meeting, we can set the conditions and hopefully move forward so that we can get to the second reading.
Okay. Understood.
Any other discussion or questions or discussion?
To extend the olive branch though, I would like to say that I think most of us are okay with understanding that conditional with the conversation is acceptable to us as the residents. As long as everyone in good faith is gonna show up to that meeting and that's the plan. And, nothing's pulled, no rug pulled out from under us as we're waiting. But if to make the builder side feel more comfortable extending the olive branch, I think we are okay saying, if we're all in good faith, saying that we are trying to work towards this as conditional, I think we can extend that olive branch. But I don't wanna find out on June 1st that they've just called it, decided, never mind, we're going with Motel 6. But if we're all in good faith gonna have that conversation, then we can extend that.
Well, right now, we have a motion by Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Brower to table. I assume you're gonna hold that motion? Okay? We definitely appreciate that. I think, what council wants to do is make sure we can approve this as well as with the conditions at the same time, so we have all the conditions. And, so that hopefully we can get, concurrence from both sides. And then after that, hey Raymond, since it sounds like the developer wants to move, are we able to do first and second reading at the same meeting, or does it have to be at two separate meetings? Okay. I can figure that out.
14 days.
Yeah, okay.
14 days.
Okay. So we'll get the first reading, and if we come up with some good solutions, then we can present it to all of council, and then we can move from the first to the second reading. All right?
Same meeting.
No, the same meeting. Any other questions or discussion? All right. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
And,
So,
sorry, if I may really quickly, when Ms. Lewis is gonna speak with whoever wants to sign up, she has a tentative date that she's gonna go ahead and run by everybody to confirm while they're out there, so we can lock that in before we sign.
perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Moving to agenda item number 3, this is a vote on the second reading of an ordinance to annex. I'll pause while everybody goes.
I can go ahead and present them while we're waiting on everybody to call before you read them. Three, 4, and 5.
Yes, items 3, 4, and 5.
The applicant has requested that these get tabled to June the 12th.
So I don't need to read them all?
I don't
Raymond, do I need to read them all?
I would recommend you either do one or two things, leave them on the table, or you'll have to take each individual one off
We'll
the
just
table.
leave them on the table.
That's what they've asked for.
Yeah, they sent an email, that's a formal request.
So items 3, 4, and 5 are gonna stay on the table, and hopefully we'll pull them off soon.
Still on there to come back. Still on there to come back. on the
Yeah.
Next agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
3, 4, and 5.
And 6, actually, while we're at it.
Yeah, six.
And six.
All of that'll be on June 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just
We'll
gonna
make
leave
up
those
time.
on the table?
Council, y'all mind if I shut the door just for a minute so they can have that discussion and not interrupt?
Raymond, can he crack it maybe?
What's that?
He wants to.
Yeah,
Shut the door for a minute while they.
Yeah, as long as it's not locked, people are welcome to come in.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're on to new business. Now, new business item number 1 is the vote on an application filed by Effingham County Industrial Development Authority, IDA, on behalf of Saywan America, requesting final site plan approval for a Hyundai supplier facility. The parcel is located at 777 Old Augusta Road South and is zoned PUD, Planned Unit Development. The tract, which is owned by Effingham County IDA, is 469.49 acres, and the portion being used for this project is 77.5 acres.
CJ, you want me to show that one, or?
I think the layout is probably better.
Okay.
And I think Raymond just didn't want the door shut because he didn't want to be locked in a room with me.
That's true. I
Sorry.
get it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. City Attorney. Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit. We actually, in November, I think it was in October of 22, we submitted a mass grading and clearing package to the city of Rincon. We also submitted it to the state. That does not require site plan approval. It is just basically a clearing and site prep package. We got approval from the state, we got approval from the city of Rincon, and we actually commenced that work back in December, I believe. No, actually, it was January. That work has been completed. Back in the summer, discussions started with the Hyundai supplier. They drug out through the whole year because they always want more. But finally, in February of 23, they inked a deal to come to Rincon. Just some highlights on the project. It'll be a $300 million investment first investment actually on the Grandview site. It'll have 740 jobs. It is currently shown as 77.5. That could adjust slightly. We have submitted these plans to the city, the development plans to the city. The city has also forwarded them to the third-party reviewer, EOM. We have received comments on them. We have responded to those comments. We went to planning and zoning last week and received unanimous conditional approval based on a clean letter from EOM. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about the project.
Did we work through the water and sewer?
Yes, we've had several meetings with the city's engineer, and Mr. Lynn has been involved in those as well. Back when the city engineer, and when I say city engineer, I'm referring to Alec Metzger with EMC Engineering. Back when he proposed the Fort Howard extensions, he had planned on this entire site being manufacturing, so the loads that he has considered for this piece of property, we're actually coming in under what he had projected. So.
And there will be a water sewer agreement that we will enter into with the IDA as we move forward with the project, who's responsible for what part of it, with their elevated storage tank and all that, and Raymond and I have been involved in those conversations.
Before there's ever a meter or a connection made to the city system.
And it's not just Saywan, it's their entire
Correct.
project for their entire parcel.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have other.
We've got 400 plus acres out there, a little shy of 400 are developable. So yeah, ideally we would have several more projects that would come along the way. And I will say that the IDA has been, and of course, Mr. Lynn has been involved in these as well. They've been very proactive and they're seeking federal funds and state funds to help get some of the infrastructure put in place that would ultimately be dedicated to the city of Rincon as an asset to the system.
And if I can just add a couple other things, because I know it came up at the planning meeting. We did work with the IDA when they were going through with Saywan, said, Saywan was trying to make sure they could come out of there and take a left. Well, they worked with them, if you want to show them that.
Yeah,
there is no left-hand turn coming out of this property on the Old Augusta. It's right in, right out.
And Brant's here also and I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm CJ Chance with Hussey-Gay Bell Engineering in Savannah, here on behalf of the IDA and also Saywan America. So back a year and a half ago or so, the IDA actually bought a triangular piece of property to give them connection to the roundabout. Saywan was dead set that they were gonna have full access onto Old Augusta Road, where it's shown right there. By GDOT standards, it still works. However, that is a county road, also with a lot of Rincon traffic. And we convinced Saywan America to have a right in, right out only. And if they wanted to make a left-hand turn and go back towards 21 in Savannah, then they could use the roundabout. So they have two access points, and that's why they're there. One is right in, right out only for safety purposes.
And the only other item that we would be waiting on that would come to us would be a full landscape plan from Saywan. But those of us that went to Saywan and LaGrange, any concerns about that, I can pretty much assure you should be alleviated based on what they told us was their landscape budget.
It's over $1 million.
They had a couple of commas in their landscape budget.
They
so I
take
think
pride
it
in
would be
their
okay.
landscape.
But we did allow them to move forward to expedite without that landscape plan. Yeah.
And so what we will do is, with all of these projects, and we're working on 6 different projects on the mega site and off the mega site. Everything is going so fast. We have been getting conditional approvals until the landscaping comes in. The landscaping does have to go back before P&Z and council, correct? Or does it just come to council? Landscaping.
It'll actually just come to staff.
Staff,
At
okay.
this point.
Okay. So, happy to answer any other questions you have.
So, I don't have questions, it's more of a comment.
Yes, sir.
And I'm looking at Brent, because I want him to hear it directly out of my mouth. I appreciate everything that the IDA has done for this project. I just ask that anything additional that deals with the city of Rankin, to please let us know. I'll be honest, I was a little shook when I heard about it through the news outlet, and I called staff, and staff doesn't know about it. They're like, you see it just like I saw it, right? I don't want you to think that I'm upset, because I'm not, but I just want anything dealing with the city of Rankin. I do understand you have confidentiality agreements and various other things, but please just let us know so that we can be aware, so that we can help along with the process, because we're still playing catch up now. So we'd like to be, know what's going on. So and I'll just leave it like that. Thank you. Any other questions or comments, concerns?
Taking comments from the audience.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Randall?
Yes, ma'am, just
Okay.
come up and state your name.
Hi, I'm Darlene Vincent. I live at 1013 Old Augusta Road. I know this IDA site's a done deal. Everyone's talking about landscaping, but I'm more concerned with the wetlands that surround this property. So that when you are looking at landscaping, keep that in mind, that we need to protect the wetlands and preserve them. It's the water source for everybody here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I will address Ms. Darlene. Again, this project has been submitted to the state, which follows the EPA guidelines. There are wetlands on the site, and certainly there are wetlands, I guess, to the northeast, the marsh that leads to the Savannah River. We have put all BMPs in place, and we have received approval for land disturbance in accordance with the state for protection.
Is there supposed to be erosion control in place now?
Yes, ma'am. There's some on the backside, but there's none up along the road. And there's also a sediment basin. If you're looking at the site from Old Augusta Road, there is a sediment basin to the left.
Toward the power lines?
Yes, ma'am, which captures the sediment before it actually leaves the site.
So it's upland.
The sediment basin is built in the uplands. Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
I know you're tired of me. I'm
No,
much
ma'am.
briefer.
If you can just restate your name for the record.
Yep, my name is Lori on Pineland Drive. There was a public comment made on Facebook from P&Z saying the IDA does not have to come before city council or zoning and planning. They have complete autonomy, power given to them in our state constitution. Please go speak to your state representatives and Governor Kemp. The C1 plant is on IBA property. So I guess my question is, why are they here? What do they come before council for? What can you control?
Because they have to. They have to get
So
water.
is P&Z confused?
Yes.
Yes, the property is entire city limits of Rankin.
So
they have
what
to-
part do you enforce? Or what part is just IDA and,
I can.
Thank you.
The difference is zoning versus development.
okay?
Development, they still make decisions.
zoning versus development.
Yeah.
So the zoning questions were done through the state, but development questions are addressed here.
Correct.
So if there are questions about the landscape, things like that, it would be,
Just what this gentleman there is here.
So that would be any kind of land disturbance, asphalt, pipe in the ground, buildings going up, landscaping, that kind of stuff. They
So-
also have to apply for a building permit as well.
Access, things like that.
so those are enforceable things, but for the residents, I'm asking, cause we are having neighborhood meetings, we are trying to get together, not to make your job harder, but because we are trying to understand the growth, and we're being told, sorry, it's commercial, they can build whatever they want, sorry, you have to go to the state, sorry, P and Z doesn't do that. This is the direct quote on a public page, so I was just wondering, well, if City of Rankin and Planning and Zoning, if it's just a courtesy to be here, why are we here? So I wanted to understand the difference.
They're required, they need utilities from us as well, for water
Okay.
service and sewer service as well.
So people that do have questions about landscape, about roads, about turns, all of that is settled here. It's not just a done deal by the state and an IDA and we're all rolled over. Is that correct?
Yes, and I would go a step further. The state actually, the state gives the power to the municipality, in this case, the city of Rankin, to be what's called a local issuing authority.
Okay,
So before any development permit can be issued, the city of Rankin has to approve it. So they have a process that you go through for the site plan approval that goes to P and Z and it comes here. P and Z is a recommending body and this is a governing body. So that, it doesn't matter
so
if
it's
the
not
property
just a
is.
courtesy.
No.
It is required
I
that,
can't get a permit without them.
And that's why we would like for these.
well, it may
I have
be,
a copy of the application that tells you the step by step that
Okay.
you have to follow. Get that for you.
and that was the other question at Planning and Zoning, was it was presented as a final site plan and they had said, oh, wait a minute, why is this a final? We don't even have
Yeah.
a precursory one. So is it still this governing body's opinion that there is still gonna have to be a preliminary and a final?
According to our ordinance, all that is required is a site plan. It doesn't specify the difference in a preliminary and a final. So they were going for preliminary and final at the same time. So they can do.
So
both.
our ordinance does say that it's only a
It
site
just says, it
plan,
just says site plan.
It doesn't say
specify
preliminary
the
or
difference.
final.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
okay. And is it up to speed on what the requirements are for when we have to post things? Because I understand there was a monetary issue concerning the things being codified back from 2017. But as a citizen, it's very hard to weed through that. Like, what are we really working off here? What's been updated, what's not? And so when you look at it, it looks like the things that they have been required, not only the IDA, but also locally, the BKB builders. To the citizen, it looks like we're not getting things posted and advertised as they should be about these meetings, which is why people are coming to you so frustrated because they feel like they're behind the 8 ball.
So, and that's what Ms. Keene was referencing. If you get her your email address, as soon as these agendas are posted, you'll know. Also, that being said, this is not a zoning matter, so the property is not required to be posted like it would for something that was being rezoned. Site plans don't get posted
Okay.
as a zoning matter, and that's just a state law about requirements or hearings. And
So there's no advertisement that has to be done for the city council meetings for these things?
Oh, and that's what Dulcia would send you.
So
Okay.
That's what Dulcia would
Every
send you.
Friday before the first and third Monday, the agenda should be posted on our website.
Second and fourth Monday.
Sorry, second, fourth.
I'm sorry, every,
The Friday
mhm,
before the second and fourth Monday.
before, second, and
Is
fourth
when those should be posted.
Monday?
Yes, correct.
And they're posted at City
They're
Hall.
posted at City Hall. Dulcia has an email group that she sends it out to, and it goes to the newspaper.
And you can go into the
Which
city.
newspaper?
I think in here.
You can also find the agenda on their website.
Yeah, you can go in and find the agenda on the website.
Planning and zoning
On Friday
on,
Yeah.
which day do they meet on?
Tuesdays.
The third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday, and IDA, Brent, you guys still meet on Thursdays, third Thursday?
Third Thursday?
Third
Third.
Thursday.
And that was Patrick's discussion, because we like to be ahead of this stuff as soon as possible.
Yeah.
To get the information where we'll have it and then we can disperse.
Well, I do recognize that it's the public's job, the residents' job to be on top of the meetings and things like that, but it has been confusing to get a whole group of people up to speed who now want to be involved. So I just wanted to make sure I was clear on the rules to pass them along.
And it's also posted on our website.
The website's very hard to manage and look at, and it's very confusing because nothing's codified. So it is there eventually, but like my husband pointed out at the P and Z meeting, the April actually wasn't updated. The agenda, the minutes
You have to
was,
approve the minutes before they get posted, so you won't get, the minutes will be 2 meetings delayed.
which makes us 2 times behind.
So what happens
The
with the
agenda.
minutes, they won't show up, like, so tonight's minutes will not show updated until probably June 13th, because our minutes won't be approved until June the 12th, so they're not there.
Which is why I'm trying to understand this and the new codes, because it's clear we have to be here, not rely, I think people have been relying on the agenda and the minutes, and they're coming away after the fact. Whether that's just logistics or not, I don't know, but it's been very hard to keep people
Right there in front
informed.
of you now is live on Facebook,
Yeah.
and you can watch it all day long, and I'll give you the transcript.
I have a feeling people are gonna, no doubt about it, but I appreciate the clarification, because I am trying to get people more involved before the fact, not after the fact.
So right here, if anybody that wants to go to the website,
Mm-hmm,
just go to government,
yep,
city council agendas and minutes, and there you go.
thank you.
And that's where they're all, like, so after tonight's meeting, the minutes will be right here for the 8th after they're approved. So if they were approved tonight, they'll be here. And after the June 12th meeting, the minutes for tonight's meeting, that should be approved. There are times that is delayed, but we do put everything there. And just
Is
for
there
everybody,
information about the workshops? I was just curious because it came up with planning and zoning. Are there information about like what you guys work on or talk about or things that are changing?
well, if there's specific items, a lot of times it's just a workshop to discuss various items, and there's no minutes taken because there's no action taken at those meetings. Now, you guys also refer to ordinances that need to be updated, just go to departments,
Mm-hmm.
planning and development, and right here on the homepage, any of the zoning ordinances.
I do see it ended up highlighted in red, and thank you very much
Yeah,
for
so
that.
we try to make it easier to find, so that's.
I do appreciate that. We had asked for that, and I appreciate that update.
So, there we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or discussion?
Councilman, I have a question for you, sir. So my name is Christopher Freeman. I live in Governor's Ridge. Can you pull up that schematic and zoom out again, please? So off to about here is where the marshlands actually come down. We all know that there is a swampy area that feeds into Governor's Ridge. It feeds into Pine Hills, all that. Councilman, we have had a huge uprising in venomous snakes coming around. We have had wild dogs such as coyotes, foxes, everything like that coming around disturbing the wildlife. When this actually hits, what are we supposed to do about the massive amounts of alligators, the massive amounts of poisonous snakes are going to start moving into our residential areas? Are y'all going to be able to do anything such as, because I know we call the Humane Society about the animals, they say we'll be out there, they take 3 or 4 days to come. We understand that. Is there any quick response we can get to if we go out our front door and there's a 8-foot alligator blocking our vehicles?
I wish I had a really good answer for you, except for the county does have a,
Animal control.
I know it's stupid, I know it's stupid.
no, it's not stupid at all.
Call Trapper Joe, who is
I
the
really
local
wish,
area guy.
yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you, but I would say if it's gonna cause, danger, call the police and they will get a hold of the county side. We do have services for a lot of those. Unless Tim's looking at me like he's gonna come out there with his shotgun.
I chased a 4-footer one time, couldn't catch it, I ain't going after no 8-footer.
Yeah, but unfortunately, seriously,
I'll swamp people for that.
that's the best that we can offer right now. I mean, if they're, I mean, I don't know, can you go grab the chief for me?
But I will say, and if the IDA and CJ can answer this, in terms of what the Ceylon project is, I think any clearing of anything is already done. Like that part of the project is done, so.
We
there
declare
should-
no wetlands.
Yeah, so I don't.
Do you catch gators? Do you catch big gators?
Sorry?
Do you catch gators?
Can I catch gators?
No, will you?
Well, the question was brought up that there's a lot of wildlife and things out there. Do you know if the county has a fast response for wild animals and wildlife and things like that, that's quick response? No?
The last time where?
He's at Governor's Ridge.
What's is a gator concern?
Well, the thing is, Chief, is, as you know, in that area, the foxes, the coyotes, the wildlife has just picked up abundantly ever since all the construction has been going on around that. They're pushing everything towards the small communities that really have no defense to them.
The county does not, as far as the sheriff's office, they're not equipped for wildlife. They do animal control, as in dogs, cats, strays,
Right.
things like that, cattle. But any kind of trapping situation, we generally refer to a trapping company. And I just know one that we've used in the past is, Trapper Jack or something like that. They're out of Savannah. We've called for, lady that was in here earlier, the pond on Magnolia. We called for a gator in her pond before. I think it took them a couple of days to get out.
Right.
That's all I can speak of on experience.
Well, I know you've been out there dealing with the dogs, that have been biting the kids and stuff.
So that is an animal control issue
Right.
that we have repeatedly pushed along to animal control from the sheriff's office. And we're kind of at their mercy on how they handle it.
Makes sense. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, any other questions or discussion? With that, is there a motion on the floor?
You got a motion to approve, second, is it second reading?
Yes.
Yeah, motion to approve, second reading.
No, this is for
It
the
doesn't
IDA.
require a second reading, this is side.
This is,
The site,
Or just second?
1A.
Motion to approve.
okay.
Second that.
So I have a motion by Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Ron. Any other further questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I say yes. New business item number 2, a request to approve contract with Falcon Fireworks for the Freedom Rings and Lincoln celebration in the amount of $28,185. Line item 1006100531521.
Yes, sir, this is just the annual contract for the fireworks show for Freedom Rings. We had to get a revised contract from Falcon to reflect the date of June 24th, which I believe the next item is going to, or one of the next items is going to go ahead and request special event approval for the parade on June the 24th. So the amount, the fireworks is $28,185 with a budget in that line item of $43,000, which will leave a budget balance of $14,815 in that line.
Good. Any questions or discussion? I think the motion is in order.
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Ron, second by Mr. Blackwell. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes. New business item number 3 is a request approval to purchase a mini excavator from Shea Tractor Company in the amount of $68,000. Line item 320-4100-542526.
Can we table all of Tim's items tonight, because he is on vacation? He's on vacation and decided to come in just to handle these.
And I don't think it's fair for us to allow him to spend money, and he's not working. He's not working, he's not making any money right now, we pay him.
Y'all don't believe how many phone calls I took all day today.
Well, I'm glad I didn't send you that email over the weekend. I was gonna wait till this afternoon to talk to you
I
about it.
think he's been wanting it, and he's talked about it.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this, mini excavator is a budget item. Put it out to bid. I think we got 7 or 8 of the bid tabulation sheets in your packet. Bids, some were extremely high. Reason I recommended Shea tractor, it's a Kubota mini excavator. Bobcat was about $8,000 cheaper, so I had them, tried both of them out, but the Bobcat, the swing was a little sloppy. So when you're in a hole working with a sloppy controller, you can get somebody hurt. So I recommended, the Kubota mini excavator from Shea Tractor out of Statesboro.
Motion to approve request.
Second.
Mr. Probity, I got a motion by Mr. Scott, a second by Mr. Brower. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. New business item number 4, request approval to contract with Savannah River Utilities to pave the Public Works parking lot in the amount of $571,900. Line item 320-4100-541-214.
Mr. Mayor and Council, that's,
I don't know whether it's good for you to come to us. Things when you're on vacation here.
it's been in the works for several years. And the price only keeps going up and up and up, the cost of. We actually cut the parking lot almost in half, from the back of the building to the front. And I mean, it's, something that really needs to be done, because every time it rains, we're walking in ankle-deep water to get to our vehicles. We went over the, bid tabulation sheet and cut it back to $571,000. And I'd like to request approval for it not to exceed that. It may come in less.
And we did speak, Mr. Bowles and I, and Mr. Bowles got with Elizabeth Cartwright as well. There will be a budget amendment required for this when we do a comprehensive one. Mr. Bowles has identified the money in another line item that he will be pulling it from to compensate for the remainder of this amount.
It's not next year's vacation check.
Sure.
We can arrange that. We can work on it.
We can work that out of the motion for approval.
I'm just accumulating time.
Ms. Bowles, is the depth of the asphalt gonna be substantial enough?
It's gonna be
to support
6 inches of concrete.
concrete, so now, so it will support all your equipment that's
Yes.
part there, okay?
6 inches of 5,000 PSI concrete, heavy duty.
You go forward with the motion.
I'll second that. And Tim, also, you got a lot of expensive equipment over there too. I mean, this sitting in that water, that can't be good.
Well, it ain't good on their tires, but
Yeah, I mean.
it don't
over
sit that
time,
long.
It's not
Over
good.
time.
You got 6 foot of water. I mean, you got metal objects on the ground that's sitting in water.
Yeah. We've been cleaning up a lot over here lately, so trying to get ready for it.
Are they gonna pay the entire perimeter of the fence?
No, it's gonna go from the back of the building all the way to the front, to the fence line. We've got money in the budget for a addition to the building, like a pole barn for parking the equipment and trucks under.
Where you're gonna stage whenever they're doing the work.
Well, we'll take a section of the fence down when they start at the entrance and then come in now there. They'll not pour it all at one time. They'll pour, we'll still be able to get in and out of our place, but we just have to work around them.
Which leads me to the question, how long will it take them to do it?
Depending on materials, 4 months. That's extra, that's a little extra time.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Brower. Any other questions or discussion? How many square foot was that then?
I don't have the agenda with me and I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's 863 yards of concrete. So, I don't see what you're cutting. All right, Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yeah.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Yeah, well, actually, take that building.
And, what was it, 06? We bought the whole property.
It was later
Uh, I
than
think
that. It was a road.
What, how much you paid or when you bought?
No, when we bought it, about 10 years ago.
No,
Yeah, it
we
was
didn't.
in
Corbett was here.
2012, 2013, something like
No, it was earlier than that.
that. May have been earlier than that. maybe.
Because when we
But it
went,
was 250.
In 2012, you
I
was
was gonna say,
selling
we
that
paid
whole building.
twice for the parking lot, on inflation.
yeah, we bought the whole piece of property, free to park and everything at the same time. It's been like 20 acres.
Who's your number two while you're on vacation?
Jake,
Jake, I'm gonna send him a note then. I'm not even gonna bother you.
bother me. That's what I'm here for.
You're on vacation.
Hey, you call that after hours emergency number, that's the one you're gonna get anyway.
New business item number 5, Effingham Heroes Incorporated requests approval of a special events permit to host the Freedom Rings and Lincoln Parade on June 24th, 2023. How are you, Miss Susan?
I'll take it. You made that effort, I'll take it.
You don't get included on everything. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity. You've got the packet there in front of you. The first sheet there just gives you a recap of some of the things that we've done, just in case you're interested. Want to say, first of all, there's a picture there. I want to publicly thank Councilman Kirkland and the mayor for traveling to Atlanta. I think it was March 27th
Sounds about right.
to honor Officer Gallagher and his heroic actions during our parade last year when we had the unauthorized entry in the parade. When you look at your packet, the first, you'll see the application for request to do this. Then you'll see that there's a proof of insurance that we purchased on April 25th. Then there's a letter that we sent out to folks. It's a solicitation for participation in the parade. Our entry form, judge's sheet, and then the last part is a letter that will be given to the businesses that will be impacted by the parade route. And let you know that we purchased more signs, even though we already had signs that we put up prior to the parade. We purchased more. And those signs will be placed 2 weeks prior to the parade. And I know that Kim always puts out the electronic one as well. We've already had the Third ID band and color guard commit to be in here, along with Shriners. We have newcomers, veterans of the Vietnam War. We already have several entrants. And the chief and I met with Jason Councilman of Chick-fil-A on April the 3rd. He is on board and supportive of our route, so everything's kosher there. And our grand marshal duties this year will be, the honorees will be Officer Gallagher and Deputy Grovenstein for their heroic actions last year.
That's awesome.
Any questions?
I have one.
You don't do that.
When did, Jason decide to do a float? Is he gonna have?
I don't know that yet.
You already submitted the plan to the parade? Not yet, but
Can we-
we're going to, we're waiting.
Can we call the KFC and Taco Bell guy? I know he shouldn't have any issues because he never does, but just to let him know, make sure all is well.
You'll get this letter too. It's gonna go out well in advance, June
Oh.
1st. That's the last letter that you have here.
Any other questions or discussion?
The Third ID did call just to make sure that everything was okay this year. So, I assured them that we have the best police force in the area. They have nothing
Are
to
you
worry
doing
about.
the same thing you did with the Christmas parade and gonna, have the extra officers and?
I don't do Christmas parade,
I'm
that's a
sorry,
cheap question.
Chief, are you gonna do the same thing you did with the Christmas parade and have the extra officers?
Yes, sir. Actually, and Councilman Ron, I lied to you, it is already approved. Fort West is just taking that one by the horns this year and is doing all that stuff. Okay. We will have all our hands on deck, and we are asking for more also. Okay. We're gonna have as much as we possibly can. We also got with the fire department, Chief Reed's gonna give us a couple of engines to help block intersections.
Okay, that's gonna be new, different, right?
And we'll be there too.
And, of course, Tim and his guys are always there.
And Tim, he's not gonna say, we already have the variable message boards. They'll be out starting the 24th of this month. So
Of this month?
They'll have a full month of letting people know about it. So.
We can put our signs out there ready. You want them out that soon?
I think the longer the better. And our Facebook post is already out too.
Yes, sir. We can put ours out. We're ready to go.
Offer motion to approve.
Second.
It'll get quicker. Got a motion. I have a first motion, a motion by Reese, Brower and a second by Mr. Scott. Any other questions or discussion?
We need to add the motion, anything about waiving the fees or?
Yeah, are there any fees? I don't think there are.
They're not, they're a registered nonprofit.
We're good without adding that, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Reese.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Ron?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
And I vote absolutely yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Susan, for all you do. All right, now we are to administrative reports. Mr. Lynn?
Yes, sir. Just a couple of quick things, a couple of housekeeping things. Let you know that Alexis Manning has started as our part-time accounting clerk. She started last week. If you get a chance, she is in that desk outside of Liz and Fran's office. You can't miss her if you go check your mail. She's doing great so far. Another couple pieces of good news. Mike Little is on a speedy road to recovery. He has now been returned to work for a couple months here on minimal duty. He's gonna be helping out the fire department doing all their annual inspections while he gets his full clearance to return to work. Fran is also back in full speed. She drove to work today for the first time in a long time. So if you're on the road, I would suggest pulling over until she gets to work. Just to make sure everybody's good, but I know, she usually has chimed into these meetings, so I'll get an email here shortly, but no, glad that she's back and all is well with her. If anyone, we still have a couple of iPads, if anyone needs to come by and see Erin about getting their iPad set up.
Who doesn't have their iPad? Get your iPad to me. It's awesome. Get it. Get it.
We got them. I'm gonna move on.
Use them.
Remind everyone that we do have a meeting at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night for the hearing of the employee agreements. It'll be at 6 o'clock in this room is where we have it scheduled, because I'll be logging in for a Teams meeting, so we'll need this screen in here to have that meeting set up. And then that's a reminder that I will be out of the office starting tomorrow for the remainder of the week. I'm available by email, text, phone if you guys need me. If anything comes up that needs immediate attention, Liz will be in the office and she will be the point of contact for City Hall. Moving forward for the rest of the week, I will be back in the office on Tuesday.
Tuesday of next week.
Tuesday of next week, correct. The Tuesday after Memorial Day. We are closed. City offices are closed Monday, 29th for observance of Memorial Day. And that is all I have tonight, sir.
All right. Engineer Chief.
I'm available for questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fire Department, Mr. Lou.
I'm available for questions.
Chief Lou, all right.
Yeah, I think he is graduating with some sort of piece of
That
paper
is
before
right.
the next meeting as well.
Before the next meeting?
Before the next meeting.
Tell us all about it, Lou.
I graduated with my bachelor's in fire administration June the 9th.
I will be on vacation, however, it'll be a virtual ceremony.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Very well.
Never thought you could, buddy.
I had all the way for it.
I've known Lou for a really, 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 really long time.
He slow played it.
Building and zoning, Ms. Lewis.
The only thing I was gonna let y'all know, I don't think I let y'all know. Salvador has moved his fence. If y'all haven't been by, he was able to work out with staff and relocate it, and it has been.
I went by Sunday.
And I went by and looked at it, and it's in the correct location.
I went by Sunday.
I'm gonna look at it.
I didn't see the flags on the pallet pole though.
No. The pallet fence is over by the shelf.
I went there, but I thought they had a flag on it. They must have moved the flag. It had one thing with a flag, but when I got there, they didn't have the one with the flag. The palace is still standing.
Mr. Bose? Public Works? Liz is not next. You're next.
He's not even here.
And,
Thinking of the imagination.
Finance, Ms. Elizabeth? Okay. Are we gonna schedule some, I know you had mentioned about getting some dates together for the mid-year to start prepping.
I'm hopefully
Is that gonna be
finalizing that.
June or?
No, toward the end of July.
It's gonna be end of July?
Not because we won't have the full 6 months ready until about the end of July.
Okay.
We're always a month behind with the
Okay, that's
reconciliation.
And since you're still here, Mr. Bryan, you wanna talk about the golf course?
Sure, why not?
Tell us all about it.
So, based on what I've seen, the golf course is, up from a little bit from last year, which is great. Golf course is looking great. We got some new golf carts, which are gonna help, new to us. We get some new carts, first of the year, but, everything is looking really good. We're just, starting to work on checks and balances in terms of getting some, protocols kind of in place to kind of help overall service and also just kind of raise the experience and once again, grow the wonderful asset that's the golf course. So, sir.
Thank you. And Mayor and Council, anything for anyone?
I think I've done the one. Did you want to?
Yes, sir, may I have a question? Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yes, my name is Chad Davis. I'm a resident here in Rincon, and first off, I want to thank y'all for what you do. All right, and police, firefighters. My question is, really, it's just for education for me. There's such a lot of rapid growth going on in the community, and so what processes are in place, right? We see a lot of rapid growth, businesses, warehouses, but there's no roads, right? There's gonna be a lot of big trucks coming through our community. And these warehouses, they'll bring in a little bit of jobs, you know, but I don't know where all the people are gonna come from that are gonna employ them. Are they gonna come from Scrivener County, you know, out in the country? But what, as the elected officials, right, to help kind of guide the community, what processes do y'all use to look at the social impact on the community? And so I don't do Facebook, I don't deal with all the craziness. I wanted to hear it from you all, so that's why I was here tonight. So,
Sure, so let me start with, we work with the county prior, concerning growth, right, and the warehouses. We had several, we started as, maybe a year ago, talking really heavy, maybe it's a little longer than that. It's been almost 2 years that we've been talking about all of the roads within the county. And we've been meeting with all of the various cities, with the county, so we can kind of work together to make sure that all of the roads were able to support some of the growth. The county has their list, each city has their list, and we tried to put those together so that they all work, so that the infrastructure coming in to the county through the cities was able to support what was coming with the warehouses. Are we 100% ahead of it? In some areas, yes. In some areas, we're still kind of pushing forward because there are some snags in some of the work that had to be done. As far as the processes for how we in the city of Rincon work, Liz and the city manager and Ms. Lewis we all try to work together with, when people come in and they say, hey, there's this piece of property, I would like to put X on it. And that's when they come in and they tell us, kind of what they're looking to do, and that's where Miss Lewis will, get with them and say, okay, this is the process, you need to come to planning and zoning, here are our ordinances. That's where the city manager could possibly come in and step in if she needs some help with kind of relaying that information. We really try to foster what I like to call smart growth. And we like to kind of try and put them in the right direction, because we don't want to waste people's time or money with them coming to us and say they want to put up an animal zoo in the middle of the city. And yeah, it might be an authorized use, but we can not sanction, that's a bad word. We can definitely push them in a different direction if we needed to. We don't want to deny things if we don't have to. So hopefully that kind of answers some of your questions, if not all.
So a lot of our growth are fast food restaurants, storage units. Do we have any business owners, like to put business offices, right? Everything is, right, we have no really good restaurants in town, right? No, as far as chains. So what, and I don't know if that's allowed or
The
not.
issue with that is you need a lunch crowd too. You can't just have a dinner crowd.
Mhm.
You need a lunch crowd to support a restaurant, a chain restaurant.
Right, and we don't have that business.
Correct. Now, as this plant develops with 740 employees, there's potential that may be attracting more to it, and as that grows,
Right.
to not be there. Not only that, your community and the county as a whole cannot just be a bedroom community, because your property taxes will continue to rise. The school system, I point to him because yours is the school system, the millage will continue to go up. More schools need to be built, because everybody wants to go to Effingham County Schools.
Right.
So there's gotta be a balancing act between the two. And we should see, as the tax collection come in, because none of these are abated. Well, I take that back. The property that the IDA has, there is some tax abatements on those. But the properties that are in private development agreements with the city of Rankin in other areas are not tax abated. So they start paying property tax if they want.
I got you.
Which is money we can roll back into the community or roll back millage.
Right, so, just true, I think I had another thought, but, I think, so my last question would be is, my wife and I have been on the fence of whether or not we want to remain in Rankin, Effingham County altogether, because it's really tough to get in and out. Thankfully, I work from home now, and so that's no longer an issue. What would y'all say to people, there's a lot of people in my boat, that's, we're facing the same decision. Do we want to stay in Rankin? Is this the place for us? Because it's changing. But we do have good schools. We have low crime, but with all these changes, and I understand that's just a natural progression as people grow. That's just part of it. But what would y'all say to someone like me that's really on the fence on whether or not I want to stay?
So we have grown and continue to grow businesses. Do we have a few that some people don't necessarily like? Of course. Our property taxes, we try really hard to not have property taxes. Reese and Levi have been on council for almost 20 years. I think Levi has 20 and some change, and for that time, and for that time, there have been no city property taxes. The issue with getting in and out of Effingham, all of us up here have talked to representatives, we've talked to county, we've talked to DOT, and we have finally gotten more traction for the Effingham County Parkway, getting that is going to relieve so much traffic. That we didn't have anything to do with it, but that one lane that they did in Port Wentworth relieved traffic on 21 heading into Savannah almost overnight. Because I drive it in the mornings as well, almost overnight. So what I will tell people who are on the fence is, give us a little bit of time. We are still working and working and working to make it work.
With the Parkway, they got a crossover, Goshen Road. Is that gonna be a traffic circle?
So all the big trucks are gonna have to come, all the big trucks are gonna have to come through the traffic circle.
I thought they were gonna do a bridge. For some reason, I thought they were doing
That would be wise.
didn't they?
But,
For some reason, I have to go back and look through my notes.
but, so all the big trucks, yeah, but those big trucks are gonna come through that traffic circle. Then they're gonna do the same thing at Highway 30. And then once they hit Highway 30, where are they gonna go? They're gonna bottleneck down to 21. Unless, I've heard that Augusta's supposed to extend all the way over to 16. Is that true?
There is okay, this is not 100% fact yet.
But that's,
It'll extend on Benton Boulevard ultimately, which would go to Jimmy DeLoach. There is a restriction that's supposed to be lifted by the city of Savannah, put a heavy permit between the Highlands area right there to restrict that traffic there. But I believe there's coming to some terms, so I've heard from other officials that that's gonna be lifted to allow that industrial, truck traffic to flow that way. So as to keep that bottleneck off of 21.
yeah, because that's gonna be a nightmare.
Correct.
I mean, there's nowhere for it to go.
Right.
So, but, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, we have worked with all of the officials to try and understand everyone's plans, the DOT, with all of our representatives, especially Mr. Hitchens has been a great help in making sure that he's pushing things for us, for Effingham County in particular, so.
That's fair. I mean, and that's kind of where we're at.
Partnership,
We have to work
working with Chatham
We have to
County.
work with a lot of that internal, when we have some control, we have to now look for a sketch here that the county has, even for hauling, taking trucks around from the south end, from the north end of the county. We've met with them twice, I think, Jonathan.
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times on the discussion and funding. T-Splosh can be a big important part of it. And, we've got some roads in place now. You talk about the road coming from Benton Boulevard. It's gonna drop here on 17, that's gonna alleviate a whole lot of traffic. Also talking about another spur that will come across shortly here from 21 and connect back to 21 around the area where the, new, development for, storage unit, I say storage unit. Warehouses are. But there are some things we are working, we're at the table. Because it's just the fact that, growth will happen, we never know until it start happening. And are we behind? Oh, yes, we're behind. But the fact is, we're at the table working.
Okay.
And I know citizens think they're not doing anything, These gentlemen's in meetings every day.
Yeah.
Every day trying, we've been in Atlanta a couple of months ago. Met with the governor. Everybody's talking about roads in the south end because growth is gonna happen. It's not gonna stop that port. It's gonna keep bleeding everything in.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for your time. I know it's late and, I'm not engaged. I'll be honest with you. I kind of do my thing but I need to be engaged and, I wanted to just kind of hear from you all. But thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you so much, you too. All right, anything else from mayor and council? Well, I'm not mayor. Anything else from council?
I'd like to thank staff
Yes, sir.
for facilitating that, Jonathan and Terry, between the two groups. I mean, I know that's not pleasant, but I really think we can come to a resolution and when everybody's on the same page, because again, we've done it before, and it just, you see how they say, they just go off in all kinds of different directions, but thank you, because you're gonna be on the front lines doing the work. I appreciate it.
And I'm glad you said that, thank you. I think tentatively we're looking at June 1st at 6, but I'll confirm that with you guys as soon as Mr. John Paul gets back with Terry tomorrow.
Are we doing, paid off-duty law enforcement for security at this event?
You mean unpaid volunteer? Absolutely.
You definitely have me.
Oh, no.
Me too.
I'm not going.
There's go. Yeah, I think I can. Okay. Mr. Bowes, I do have something for you, but I gotta get it from my phone. I'll get that later. All right. Do we have a need for executive session?
No, sir, not tonight. That's correct.
Nothing else.
Did we get, I think we might. The issue from the attorney?
Oh, you're not ready to talk about that. Yeah. The anti-lighting thing, we got the lady getting her hair with the awning.
Is that what you're talking?
Are you talking about the fair?
No. We talked about the employee. Do we have an attorney for?
Yeah.
Is that an executive session item, or can you talk in open?
I mean, you voted, I mean.
What's the name of the attorney? I'd like to know. for
It's
the
Shear Montgomery.
Who?
Steve Shear.
Shear and Montgomery Law Firm.
Okay. All right. Well, there's not a need for the executive session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
A motion to adjourn by Mr. Scott, seconded by Mr. Ron. Any other questions or discussion? You can raise your hands or speak aye if you agree.
Sorry, Dan, I should have gave you that.
Thank you very much. Hey, Tim.